He lives alone without a woman in his life. Mrs. Hudson takes care of the house. So he has found a quarter mother, so to say. Dr. Watson is his only friend and companion, the only person to whom he is attached in the least emotional sense. Whenever he is alone, he cannot bear the loneliness. He takes to drugs. Obviously, there are very difficult things in the unconscious mind. He experiments dangerous substances on himself as though he does not care about himself. There is a self-destructive element at work. Anger towards the parents turned on oneself. He is extremely fond of violin and concerts, very important. He is not fond of poetry or songs, he is fond of violin. When isolation of affect starts, you slowly start moving away from feelings. And as a part of it, and of course, isolation of affect starts when you conclude after being hurt repeatedly, feelings bring pain. So you decide to keep feelings away, isolation of affect. And what happens after that, when isolation of affect goes very deep, you start moving away from anything that arises feelings. You move away from anything that can arouse feelings. Songs, poetry, movies can be those things. So you first move away from your feelings with others, then feelings inside, and then you start moving away from anything outside that can excite your feelings. And slowly you move from songs and poetry to instrumental music. A movement away from song and music, song and dance, poetry, to instrumental music is also a movement of deepening of isolation of affect. So we see an intensely emotional person because he enjoys emotions being played out through violin. But emotions spoken in terms of words, feelings, or dance is too much for him. So it's a deep movement of isolation of affect where one has gone deep down to instrumental music only. Irina Adler is the only woman he admires. He calls her that woman. And what is Irina like? She is into crime. Not in this episode. In this episode, she is only shown as somebody unethical who is trying to blackmail, somebody destructive with a proper reason of revenge, but still somebody destructive. So she is shown in this episode as beautiful, intelligent, but hurt and destructive.
But sir, she's not destructive. She's just she's defending herself.
True, true. So in this episode, we have Irina Adler is shown as somebody intelligent, beautiful, hurt, and trying to defend oneself.
Defend and wants to be in power. I think
Yeah,
she wants to be in a powerful position, but she's not offensive.
true. So she is a dominating person, a powerful, strong person, but she does not, she is not destructive in her heart,
Yeah.
but uh, the king feels she is destructive. She can be destructive.
Yes.
And very importantly, in the episode we see Irina Adler asks Sherlock Holmes, the old man, disguised as the old man, the preacher, that why would anybody do such a thing? And the preacher interprets it to her that revenge can be the only motive. And in the Jungian terms, it's almost like the old wise man or the therapist interpreting to Irina Adler what can be in her unconscious mind. And after that, the whole story undergoes a change. So there is an unconscious revenge element in Irina Adler, where she once threatened the king that she can destroy him. Although at this episode, so king tells us in the story that once she had told him that she will let it out just after the betrothal is done. But when Holmes meets her, she says it is only for self-defense. She does not intend to destroy him any longer because she has got a new relationship and she wants to preserve it. And the new relationship probably has softened out the revenge part in her. That love has neutralized the aggression. But in other episodes of Sherlock Holmes, in many episodes, Irina Adler makes an appearance, and in one of the episodes, she is shown almost like somebody who is on the side of crime, a soft side of crime. And that may be that somehow he sees in Irina Adler his enema and some resemblance maybe to his mother, who may not have been completely on the ethical side, and which may have led him to continuously be in suspicion and watch out for small hints. His elder brother Mycroft is with a family and employed in the British government. So it seems the early family situation for the elder brother was much better than it was for Sherlock. For Sherlock, it was far more traumatic than it was for Mycroft. Other characters, Dr. Watson. He is a doctor struggling to establish himself in London. To have more patients, he has to go to distant rural locations. So he is not a very successful person. He is alone. So not successful so much in the relationship area also. And a great admirer of Sherlock Holmes. He is ready to play the second fiddle to Holmes. And therefore, we see here a dyad, a pair of a narcissist and a dependent, where Sherlock Holmes becomes the narcissist and Dr. Watson becomes the dependent. In the Sherlock Holmes series, in the episode also we can see how much he fears Holmes and how he is not able to overcome what Holmes says. So he is living out his narcissism by identifying with narcissism of Sherlock Holmes. He is living out his inferiority. I mean, overcoming his inferiority by vicariously living out through the success of Sherlock Holmes. But in reality, he is a good doctor. And in the episode, in the series, later he gets married to a widowed woman and lives separately from Sherlock Holmes, occasionally visiting Sherlock Holmes and still assisting him in cases. So he finds a widowed woman, and therefore it is clear he also has his own Oedipal issues, unresolved Oedipal issues. and his inferiority and dependence may be rooted in the Oedipus does not seem so much to be a deeper pre-Oedipal pathology. And with Sherlock Holmes, he is able to slowly actualize his masculinity and very soon becomes professionally more successful and also gets married to a widowed woman. But his dependence, inferiority still does not go away. He still finds a widowed woman rather than a young woman. So we see the inferiority and the Oedipus at play. That he still finds a strong widowed woman and he is a dependent. The king. The king has killed 4 men in honor in a sport, fencing. The king of Bohemia is involved in a scandal. The king is helpless in the face of a woman he once loved. The king ditched the woman after promising to marry her. The king fears revenge, and it is not just catastrophic thinking. She has said so explicitly. The king employs burglars. The king does not mind doing anything unethical to save himself. The king is greater than the law. And the king finally employs Sherlock Holmes. In a sophisticated way, it is an assignment for burglary. Irina Adler. She has been wronged. She is a beautiful, intelligent, strong woman. She has been wronged. She seeks revenge. She is now in love with a new man. She is able to move on in life and over a period of time forgive partly and overcome the aggression. Very normal, very healthy. She follows Sherlock Holmes and wishes him good evening. The masculine part of her, the power-seeking, point-scoring, flaunting, dominating part of her, the courageous part of her, the man in her, allows her to follow Sherlock Holmes and wish him a good evening. There was no need to wish him. She scores a point by doing so. Tells her about her motivations. She moves out of the city and starts a new life. Very pragmatic. So just as she has this adventurous part, defiant and strong part in her, she also has the soft, feminine and pragmatic part to her. Sherlock Holmes and Irina Adler. Sherlock is a chronic loner and Irina is a vivacious woman. And in the series of Sherlock Holmes, she marries many times. And therefore, the two actually are complementing each other. Jung used to talk about the principle of compensation. He used to say, too much on one side results in too much on the other. If there is too much masculinity in the waking state, the dreams are filled with feminine symbols. If there is too much of emotion in the waking state, dreams are filled with logic. The principle of compensation is at work. Sherlock Holmes finds in her the complementing other, the lively other, the colorful other, the relating other, the emotional other, the impulsive other, the exact opposite of what he himself is. Very cold, calculative, without any emotion. So he finds in this woman a complementing woman, the real other half. So it is almost like Sherlock Holmes is the logos and this woman is the eros. As Sherlock Holmes sees her, but of course this woman has a strong logos also in her. She is a far more rounded person than Sherlock Holmes is. Although in logos, Sherlock Holmes is much better than she is. So one of the reasons why Sherlock Holmes always remembered her, not only because of her beauty and intelligence, but also because of her resemblance in some way to the lost mother and her resemblance in some way to Sherlock Holmes' enema, the complementing woman who will complete him, because she is everything that he is not but wants to come to him and complete him. Sherlock can think but not love. Sherlock can fight but not be tender. Sherlock can take on danger but can't live in peace. These are all the things that Irina can do. She complements him. Sherlock and Irina have a strange, unsaid deep attraction and compatibility, but in a strange way, they never say it or live it. This is very, very important. And this happens in the real life also many times. Personalities like Sherlock would be too afraid to express their need for anybody and get close to anybody. So they would have a conflict. I want her, I don't want her. Because there is a fear of emotional closeness because of past pain in relationship with the parents. So they would have a conflict. I want her, I don't want her. And in all probability, they won't be able to speak out. Irina personalities would have trouble because they would not like somebody like Sherlock, so structured, so logically clear, somebody who can see through them and hold them to consistency and not allow them to live by impulse. And here I have in mind personalities with a strong element of bipolarity and borderline elements. And most of them are extremely good looking. And what they want is freedom of impulse. So although they know somebody with a strong logos can complement them, they don't choose them. They have to choose between freedom of impulse, not being held to consistency, not being forced to acknowledge their difficulties and work upon them. So they choose somebody who is much lesser in intelligence, whom they can control. However, deep inside the hearts, both of them know that some things put aside, they make a perfect, compatible couple. The conspicuous act of omission of Arthur Conan Doyle. No character has parents or a mention of them. Most important characters are single, unattached, and lonely for most of the stories. Later, Irina comes as an attached character, so does Watson get married. So this is, as we said, Arthur Conan Doyle's anger towards his own parents, annihilation by absolute omission. Some interesting events in the episode. The laughter of Sherlock Holmes. There is no naturalness to it. There is a narcissistic superiority. There is a mocking, sarcastic element, but there is no natural expression of happiness.